Transfer portal madness.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I am Brian Smith, in for Stephen Willis. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. We're going to be talking about Tavoy Feagin, a player that the Rebels just picked up, a guy that I know. Have a lot to say about him and why he's an important addition to this year's and future Ole Miss teams, as well as what's going on in the portal overall. There are a couple of key things going on to kind of watch with part of the competition. Finally, later on in the show, we're going to talk about Ole Miss at Georgia. Yes, I'm still picking the Rebels to beat the Dogs, and I give a really good reason why today, and I have the stats to back it up. But first, I want to pivot back to Tavoy Feagin, defensive back who was at Clemson for 1 year, highly recruited player in the class of 2024 from Tampa, Florida, played at Carrollwood Day School, and I used to live in Tampa. I know Tavoy pretty well. I had him on a podcast a few years ago. His dad, Michael's a great guy. He played at the University of Alabama. Great overall pickup for the Rebels. Let me give you the backdrop. He only played, per Pro Football Focus, in 9 snaps last year for Clemson. Freshman at Clemson, you're probably not going to play a lot. But that doesn't mean much to me. I know the kid, I know the family a little bit, and I know the program he is from. He's going to grind. He's a kid that can really run. He's really long. He's a natural corner. And this just in. Ole Miss needs corners. They need DBs. Their defensive secondary last year was not very good. They gave up just over 230 yards a game through the air. They were in the 80s in college football for yards allowed. That's not acceptable at Ole Miss. They needed to add at least one, probably 2 or 3 players from the portal, depending on who left. Fagan is player 1. I think they'll take at least one more, probably a safety. We'll see. But Tavoy is a natural corner. He is best, from what I've seen of him, in press man coverage. But that'll change because the college level is totally different than high school. And Tavoy needed to add weight. I don't know how strong he is now. I don't know how much he weighs, but he was give or take 175, 180 pounds coming out of high school. If Tavoy can get up to 190, somewhere around there, he could play this year. I'm not saying he's going to walk in and start or he's going to come in and take a bunch of guys' minutes. You got to earn it. And he didn't get a chance to go through spring. So let's examine that for just a moment. How does a player who doesn't go through spring, yet they transferred in, make a dent? Number one is just work your butt off. The summer program is unique for college athletics, and I still don't understand this, but it's been this way forever. The coaches really don't have much contact with the players. But the strength coaches, that's a different deal. And they're the player-led workouts. The guys that are the best are going to report back to Kiffin and everybody else on the staff. Hey, just so you know, this player is, and then fill in the blank, good, bad, or indifferent. Those things will get back to them. And the kids themselves are going to text the coaches once, hey, I'm doing well with this. I'm struggling with this. I need some guidance. Tavoy is a smart guy. Like academically, he won't have any problems at Ole Miss. But if he has anything that's wrong, he'll figure it out or he'll get somebody to help him do it. He's really competitive. I think he will contribute this year. Exactly what capacity, I don't know. And before anybody asks, let me throw this out there. It is possible, because everybody needs as many as they can get, at the nickel position. Possible he could play there too. That also goes back to my point about strength and weight. If Tavoy Feagin is big enough, you can play that spot. Remember, and Kiffin does this too, at the nickel spot, there are many times you're going to be going up against a tight end, a fullback, or an offensive lineman during that play in some capacity that is blocking you on a screen. You got to want it. It's hard enough at corner because you get a little bit of that. At nickel, that's a different animal. So most of the time you're going to see juniors, seniors, and fifth-year seniors at any Southeastern Conference school at the nickel spot. It's hard. It's very physical. But from a technical standpoint and how I know Tavoy Feagin carries himself, that's a position he can play, I think, long-term. Short-term, I would prefer to play him to the field and allow him to chase, allow him to drive on the football, allow him to be a playmaker. just go out and ball. Preferably man coverage, but again, Tavoy Feagin's a very smart kid, and he's a guy, just to give you a backdrop, this is a kid that was recruited nationally. He could have went to a ton of programs all around the country. He just decided on Clemson, and now, again, he has transferred to Ole Miss. The only thing left that I want to say about him is you just don't know when it will pop. It will, but it could be this year. But by the time this season's over, you're going to see him play in some capacity. Maybe it's just special teams, I don't know. But I'll be surprised if he's not starting at Ole Miss at the latest, the 2026 season in some capacity. He's got 4 years of eligibility, so he certainly has time. Now, as for what's going on with Ole Miss in the transfer portal in general, it's not just about them. It's about the competition, who's in the portal, what needs you have. It's really broad. Let me give you an example. There are very few coaches that do more with wide receivers, especially big receivers, than Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. It just so happens I also run the Locked On Seminoles podcast. Hykeem Williams jumped in the portal. Now, I'd heard some rumblings, but I didn't know that he was going in. And he's a 6'2", 215-pound guy from South Florida. Kiffin loves South Florida receivers that can really run. Now, he's been banged up on and off, and he was hurt towards the end of the spring ball for the Noles. But you can't teach the size, nor can you teach the speed. He can flat out go. If he gets the right coaching, and he didn't last year in Tallahassee, I can assure you of that, this is a guy that can be a 50-catch player. Would it surprise me, even though Ole Miss probably doesn't necessarily need a wide receiver? I would be surprised if they didn't call. And this is part of the process. I'm not saying that I've heard something. I'm not saying that Kiffin and his crew should go after Hykeem Williams. I'm just saying do your due diligence, because what you come up with him, it still helps you evaluate other players in future years and even throughout the rest of this portal cycle. You don't know who else is going to get in. You've got to rank things. You've got to do it from top to bottom to get a full barometer of what's available. It's not easy. Now, do I have any idea why Hykeem left? I have no idea. I didn't call anybody. I didn't want to know. When I posted my little short pod about the situation on Locked On Seminoles, I was blunt. I'm like, if he doesn't want to be at Florida State, that's his decision. Wish him the best. Hope it works out wherever he ends up going. He's a nice guy, but it didn't work out at Florida State for whatever the reason. I don't know if it's NIL or whatever, but most people thought he was going to be a starter. So there's some kind of disagreement in some capacity, whatever that may be. To that point, there's a lot of that in the transfer portal. I mean, a lot. We're going to be talking about a couple of guys, matter of fact. I'm just going to get it out there now. Talk about Georgia a little bit. They just had a couple of guys go in the portal that were in those car situations in Athens that hit the portal. They were the last two that just got in. They just hit the portal. They're super talented guys, though. Will somebody pick them up? Yeah. Do I think it'll be Ole Miss? Not likely. But there's still going to be somebody take talent over temperament, maturity, and good decision-making. It's the unfortunate part of football, but people like to win. So here's my question for Ole Miss fans before we go on to the next segment. Do you think Ole Miss is at the point now where they can all but, quote-unquote, eliminate taking players with character flaws and compete at the very upper echelon of the Southeastern Conference? Georgia, in my opinion, has come down. Obviously, Tennessee has. Florida's not its usual self. LSU's defense, I still need to see it. A&M's rising, but who knows? Bama, quarterback, I'm not sure. They're still a really good roster, but I'm not sure. Texas is the one mainstay. Like, they should win the league this year. They should be the best team. But Ole Miss, in my opinion, is as good a bet to represent the other team in the SEC championship game as anybody, because I think they have a pretty balanced roster. So just as an overall point here, Ole Miss, in my opinion, really doesn't need to take many chances in the portal anymore. They've done a better job with high school. And to that point, they've also done a better job with transfers. You're going to miss on some. Guys are going to do stupid things. You get rid of them. But I think Ole Miss is trending in the right direction overall as a program because of the type of character they're bringing in compared to what they might have done 5-10 years ago. It's an important factor in winning because your locker room dictates your win-loss record. When we come back, we're going to talk about some guys in the portal and some things to look at from other schools. That is next here on the Locked on Ole Miss podcast. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project, for a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring people all that much easier and affordable. For the right talent, you just need to find the right marketing campaign, and that is what Upwork can do. Upwork can connect you with freelance experts who delivered incredible results, plus cost-effective. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork can help you find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale any business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. The portal is booming. There are tons of players in the portal that I don't know a lot about. There are a lot of guys that I kind of remember, but for whatever reason, they fizzled out at their first or second, maybe even their third school. It's a really difficult process. So the next thing I want to do is kind of give you an example of what's going on and what to look for, whether it's Ole Miss, LSU, Georgia, or any other program. Here's an example of a player that just got in the portal, and it's going to Oklahoma State. Kind of surprised me. Hadn't been there long. Edge rusher, Wendell Gregory, kid that was at South Carolina. Again, he's transferring to Oklahoma State. Had a lot of upside. Pretty heavily recruited kid. Now he's going all the way to the Big 12 to play for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. South Carolina's defensive line last year was legit. They might have been, along with Ole Miss, the two best D-lines in the league. You could make that argument. It's certainly a plausible one. That being the statement that I'm making, it doesn't matter. They still lost a good player. You got to ask yourself, kind of like what I mentioned right before the last break, you have to grade every kid and they go through. Why is he leaving? Should we have went after him? How did he end up at Oklahoma State? The more you learn, the more you can predict what's going to happen next. Plus, South Carolina is a team that you compete with, not only in the portal, but recruiting and actually on the gridiron. Next, this is a guy I want to kind of do a deep dive on. Not saying that Ole Miss is going to go after him, but if you did, I wouldn't blame you. Proven productivity at middle linebacker never goes out of style. It's hard to find them. There's not many that get in the portal that aren't upside guys. Almost every good middle linebacker that gets in the portal is a guy that maybe he started for a year, kind of showed some promise. But did he really blossom yet? Not many. This guy's got the size. He's got the experience. He's played in the playoff, and he's a starter. Andrew Simpson, 235 pounds, middle linebacker at Boise State. This is a great story. 2024, he had 44 tackles, 29 stops, 1 interception, 3 forced fumbles, and 4 sacks, according to PFF. That's what you call production. I don't know how accurate the tackles are, if that was tackles and assists, but anyway, 29 stops is the more important thing. What is a stop by Pro Football Focus? A stop means the play was made before the offense reached their objective. Now, it depends on the down and distance, time of the game, etc., but let me give you a basic one. The goal of every offense, if you run the ball on first down, is to get at least 4 yards. 4 yards is the old school barometer. That's not going to change. So it's a stop if you get a play of 3 yards or less, like a loss, stuff them at the line of scrimmage, etc. 29 of them, that's a lot. He is a run stuffer. In the SEC, we all know this is a lineman league that extends somewhat to the middle linebacker position. If you have a run stuffer, it helps. Now, Sunterian Perkins, we're going to talk about him a little later in the show. That's a whole other freak show. In my opinion, he's as good a linebacker as there is in the country. Probably was last year too, to be honest. But he'll be even better this year. But if you add somebody that has this kind of productivity and put him next to Perkins and they can't key on him, he could really go off. Ole Miss has got a really good homegrown defensive line. I'm just saying. everybody has their opinion on who should be the players that their team goes after. And I don't know exactly how Ole Miss feels about linebacker, but if you're going to make a splash, this wouldn't be a bad one. And if he ends up going to another school in the SEC and you play against him, just remember, this is a really good guy. 2024, he had 506 snaps. He started 11 out of the 12 games. Defensive grade by PFF was 78.8. Run defense, 77.7. Tackling grade was a little surprising, 54.5. Pass rush, 67.4. And coverage, really good for a linebacker, 72.2. Also in the portal, this just shows you gold is where you find it. And since we're going to be talking about Georgia here in a few minutes anyway, I wanted to bring this one up. I represent anybody out there that says big thumbs up to our military members and the guys that play football at any of the academies. The work they put in is pretty amazing. Now, Elo Madozi is a guy that I don't remember. He was on a pretty good Army team last year, though, and he was their key pass rusher. 2024, he had 527 snaps, started all 14 games at outside linebacker / edge, 74.3 for defense. Run defense was 75.4. Tackling 61.1. Pass rush 77.8. That's really good. But he wasn't a great coverage guy, 51.4. Who cares? He gets downhill. This is a guy that had a lot of sacks and a lot of pressures. He's visiting Georgia. I'm curious if Ole Miss might get involved there. If he went to Army and was at West Point, obviously academics will not be a problem, and he's the kind of guy that's got discipline. It would just be cool. Again, if you can add another front seven piece, especially if you keep it away from Georgia, I'm all for that. Regardless, I hope he has a good end to his career. Anybody that represents our military and our country that way, I'm down with that. Good for him. Good for wherever he goes, because that's probably going to be a really good player. Before I go on to the next segment and talk about UGA hosting Ole Miss, one last thing similar to the portal, it's a recruiting note. Felix Ojo, one of the kids that Kiffin would really love to add, offensive lineman out of the Dallas area, is going to take an official visit to Colorado. They have been trending up a little bit in recruiting. Watch that visit. It's in the first week of May, so it's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Ojo's a top 20 player probably in the nation. Ole Miss has had him on campus, but this is going to be a really big battle. Colorado getting in the mix and getting an OB, that's something to note. When we come back, I'm going to tell you another reason in part 3 of why Ole Miss is going to beat Georgia this year, even though the game is in Athens. That is next here on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting easy, especially if you're picking something as simple as what I like to do, and that's three-pointers. How many is a guy going to make in a game, or how many points are they going to score because they're a three-point shooter? A lot of easy ways to use prop bets. Also, you can live bet on the game on the app, because even if you missed a tip-off, you can still get in there and live bet and even do some same-game parlays with it. Don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. The Georgia Bulldogs are going to have a tough time with Ole Miss, in my opinion, and they're going to lose. I've talked about this a couple times earlier this week. But today, I knew the stats would favor Ole Miss, but I didn't know they would favor them this much. One of the keys to any football game is what happens in the trenches. And for whatever reason last year, Ole Miss was a great example of that, because they really took it to the Georgia Bulldogs in this regard. They beat them in the trenches when UGA had the football. Overall, for the season, UGA gave up 25 sacks. Never thought I would say that. That's pretty poor. Further, they just got depantsed by Ole Miss, and that was a great front. But, okay, they're going to be mad, etc., blah, blah, blah. Who's starting is still the bottom line. The emotion and all that, it's about 5 minutes. Austin Simmons and the offense, they'll be fine. Caden Lee and a few guys I'll talk about in a minute, they'll be fine. Here's the key for me with this game. And again, wholeheartedly, I admit I kind of walked into this one. I wanted to check out Georgia's O-line because I knew, hey, they struggled some. But it's even worse than I thought. Again, I'm going to use PFF as an example. This is concerning. I'm not sure how their O-line is going to match up with Ole Miss by the time they play in the middle of the season, but I'm going to talk about 5 guys, maybe 6. There's a key freshman. They got a really good recruit that I love. That are going to be put under the gun. It's a young O-line, not a ton of experience, but a lot of talent. Who plays where and how it meshes, we'll figure that out later. But left tackle at the end of the year, Monroe Freeling played. Highly coveted kid I got to know at Under Armour camps and stuff. Everybody wanted him. In that game against Notre Dame, he gave up 3 sacks. Now, he wasn't very good against Ole Miss either, but if your left tackle is a turnstile, I don't care what offense you run, I don't care who your quarterback is, you're in a world of hurt. Ole Miss still has a really good front. And oh, by the way, Suntarine Perkins is not going to be just standing on the sidelines with Lane. He's going to be barreling down. They're going to have problems up front. But when I saw that he was possibly going to be the tackle from my research, protecting the blind side again, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. There could be Ernest Green. I'll talk about him in a second. He's another guy who played some left tackle last year, but both just didn't get it done. Pass protection grade, and I think this is too high, 65.3. I don't buy that. Run blocking grade for Freeling, 71.4. This will be his 3rd year removed from high school. Good kid, big guy, 6'6", 200 or 315 pounds. He fits the profile, but something's just not right there. I don't know what it is, but he just looked awful in that Notre Dame game, and he looked awful in a couple others too. That could be a key to the game, especially if Perkins could get him on an island a few times. Interior, that's something that they struggle with a little bit. Michael Morris, he was really good in pass protection, though. Big guy, 330. But run blocking, a guy that's 330 pounds at Georgia coveted, 63.7 run blocking. Not good. Drew Bobo started a couple of games. He's probably going to be their center. 2024, he had 224 snaps. By the way, Michael Morris, 432. Pass blocking grade for Bobo was good, 75.8. Run blocking, 65.6. I don't understand how Georgia, with all these elite recruits, it's that low. Right guard right now could be Daniel Calhoun. He's a redshirt freshman. He only played in 26 snaps, 3 games last year. We'll see. And then the other tackle, maybe, and again, I don't know if Monroe Freeling will be right or left, or Ernest Green will be, but Ernest Green started the year as the left tackle. Pass protection, 65.7. Run blocking, 53. He was an elite recruit out of California that everybody recruited. He gave up 2 sacks against Ole Miss last year, so they beat him up pretty good. But he played 565 snaps, and Ernest Green is very talented. We'll see. The one player that I just want to throw out there, and this may not work, but at some point, Juan Gaston's going to be a dude at Georgia. I have not met many players bigger. When I met him at Under Armour, he's 6'8", 388 pounds, and he can flat move. It's just unbelievable how athletic Juan Gaston is. If they continue to struggle at tackle, he's projected to be around 340 before the season starts. Do not be surprised, a true freshman, Juan Gaston, gets to play some this year. There's no way Kirby is going to allow their offensive tackles to be turnstiles again this upcoming season. 25 sacks last year for Georgia. Ole Miss has got a pass rush, plus they got Perkins, who's just a natural pass rusher anyway. As a blitzer, they're going to have problems with him. If by the time that game comes around and Juan Gaston's in the lineup, I would not be surprised at all. He's a really talented player, but true freshman, special player, but that's a lot to ask. We'll see if he can do it. If not, maybe it's going to be Green. Maybe it's going to be Freeling, somebody else. Georgia's got a lot of questions up front. Thank you once again for making the Ole Miss podcast, the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, your first listen each and every day. I truly appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and I can't wait to find out what happens. It seems like every day I open up the new information with the portal. We'll have a lot more about that. I'm going to save a little bit of information I have about the wide receivers for the next time I do a podcast, but might do something over the weekend. But it's a lot of fun regardless. And if I have an emergency pod this weekend, it'll probably be good news for the Ole Miss Rebels. Thank you once again. We will see you again soon on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.